If I could describe Jon in one word, it would be visionary.
Committed.
Powerhouse.
Jon Kest was driven.
Scraggly, something like that, you know?
Magnificent.
Effective. He got stuff done.
A really great light in this role that didn't necessarily need the accolades or the shine, right? And didn't want it either, right? It was fine being in his crumpy, wrinkled jeans and his sweater.
Maybe it's all an act he put on for all of us, is that, you know, when he was poorly dressed, we didn't realize that he was actually the one moving the idea in the room.
It really was perfect because that's who he was. It was, you know, my work is the important thing. It's not supposed to be about how you look or your ego. It's about the work and making a difference for people.
The one thing that Jon gave us all was organizing as a profession.
Jon's someone who figured out, I cannot put enough of my time into this unless this is my job plus my obsession.
The last time I saw Jon, I went to see him at his house with Fran, and we had to talk about business, and he goes, see, even now. And because it was so important to him.
And he was just constantly, at every moment, Jon was always thinking about what's next. How do we move this further? How do we build more power for poor people? How do we make sure that we can win?
We all work together just like any other neighbor.
When there's a movement going on, and when there is a campaign going on, there's the people who participate in the campaign. There are the folks who are out there cheering and chanting, but there's always a group of people who are behind the scenes who are really the strategic thinkers.
So many of the changes that happened in New York City schools and then in our state funding and state education policy are because of that combination of his sort of determination and insight and strategic brilliance, and also as a result of the leaders and organizers that he developed and taught how to do this work, and and brought out their commitment and their determination.
I think he just knew that there was no way we could get this work done on our own. Like, there was no way we could, make our schools better if we weren't talking to the teachers. There was no way we could improve the quality of education without having parents and students mobilized, without bringing all these folks to the table.
The charter school movement was just at its beginning, but Jon saw where it was going. He also was never afraid to take on like the giant. So people were telling us, you'll never beat Edison. They've got too much money. Giuliani had installed Edison. We kicked their ass. The vote was so overwhelming. We won the PR war, we won the outreach war, and we won the votes. The votes were overwhelming no. Jon compared the charter school movement to predatory education, just like predatory lending. And Jon said predatory education, subprime schools.
We did an initial kind of exploratory statewide conference in Tarrytown in early 2000. And Jon, because he had all these relationships with everybody who was working on education in New York, was really able to bring everyone together into a unified force and look at the ways that we could work together on the big common issue, which was lack of funds, and really try to move the funding at the state level in a way that would help all the education reforms that everybody was working on. And combination of his relationships and then a first grant from the Schott Foundation, and HEB was born.
A lot of the work we do today is, at one point ideas within Jon's head, and we still continue. I think based on a lot of the theories he had around organizing, whether it's organizing low-wage workers, whether it's organizing parents to challenge the privatization of our schools, or whether it's organizing homeowners and tenants for better housing in our neighborhoods. I mean, this is all work that Jon really, was his fundamental core beliefs, and I think we still are guided by a lot of that today in the work that we do.
look at all of the different fights we've been involved with, the closing schools, the co-location of charter schools, the disparate treatment of children. And he brought that all to the forefront. And working together, we were able to make a huge impact. And look at it now. Here we are in a mayor's race, and all the candidates, the majority of the candidates are saying the same thing. What has gone on here is wrong, and the general public believes it too. That's his legacy.
I think that one thing that Jon did was make sure that before he left us all, that things were set up in place in the organizations he was involved in to make sure that people were equipped to go forward.
We were people working together to make things better for all of us, and that's what I loved about him.
It's like a great symphony or orchestra, right? And each one of these instruments plays and it sounds different. But when they come together, they make kind of this beautiful music that everybody's paying attention to.